presents herself to adapt a phrase from Mr Tony Blair as a pretty straight sort of a person. She's a former Home Secretary. I'm glad to see the Home Secretary in the place. She's a former Home Secretary. She knows full well the value of evidence as it is proved. So, firstly, she was initially in favour of leaving the European Union, an honest and honourable stance, even if I disagree with her. Then she was in favour of remaining in the European Union, though something of a shrinking violet in that support. Now she's resolute again in her determination to leave. Secondly, she was utterly opposed to holding an early general election. It would be a distraction, turning in on domestic matters when she had important and time-limited international negotiations to conclude. And now, hey-ho, she is equally determined that a general election we must have. Mr Speaker, against the European Union, for the European Union, then against again. Against holding a general election, and now determined to have a general election. Mr Speaker, the record is about as straight as the legendary European Union banana.
Will the honourable member give way?
Briefly.
Does he agree with me that the Prime Minister today repeatedly says that she wants an early election to produce a larger Tory majority? Does the honourable member agree with me that the Prime Minister is treating the electorate of the United Kingdom with contempt because she assumes the election will result in a larger Tory majority, and she admits thereby she has no plan at all for this country if she does not get that result?
The member for that intervention, I have no crystal ball. I know the disarray, unfortunately, on the party literally to my right, and who knows what the outcome would be. But I am suspicious of the Prime Minister's motives and her reasoning. She says that a general election would enhance the status with the other 27, for example, and I cannot see how that might be the case. However, Mr Speaker, just to turn briefly to what I do think the Prime Minister's motives are, and I think they are pretty clear. They are, in fact, pretty straight. It's not only about the destruction of the Labour Party as a credible opposition over the next decade or so, unfortunately, and I'm afraid they are doing a pretty effective demolition job on themselves without her help. And it is not only about raising a challenge to my friends in Scotland, though I think in this case, her case is already lost. No, Mr Speaker, this election is about seeing off not her opponents on this side of the House, but rather her enemies behind her. As ever with the Tories, desperate disunity papered over whilst it suits. But to get on very briefly, Mr Speaker, my party, Plaid Cymru, welcomes the opportunity this election presents to the people of Wales. We welcome the opportunity for the people of Wales to change our course in the long term, away from Labour's leaden government in Cardiff, away from this hyper-centralised and heedless government in London, cutting our own path towards economic regeneration and prosperity, social justice and a proper, confident place for Wales in the world.
Yeah.